I wanted to try something a little bit different today, and I wanted to debate with anybody in my audience who disagrees with any of my takes. I know some of the stuff I've been saying is controversial and not necessarily popular. So now is the time. If you do want to disagree with anything that I've been saying and state your case, I'll read it and have a conversation and ask certain questions. So we'll try this out. If it works well, I'll probably do it again. If not, we won't. But let's see how it goes. Dream Rare Podcast starts now. Thanks for being here, folks.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles.
What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? So I was browsing the stories of the day and nothing really stuck out to me that really made me passionate. But I did notice that everything that I said, people had a problem with. So not here to complain about it, here to just have a conversation and see if this works better, because that's where my inspiration was leading me today, towards everybody having a problem with literally everything I type and say. So we'll start it off. Thank you guys for being here. I have my coffee. I'm going to try to do it a little low key. Someone said, anomaly, you not voting for Trump again, right? In the primary right now, I can't say any of the politicians are inspiring me to want to put their name down on a piece of paper. That's the Republican primary. Once it's over, we'll reassess. But I like to wait till the last day. I think unless I'm like, when it was Trump versus Biden 2020, it's like, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Biden sucks. But, I would say I try to use my vote for leverage, and I like people to earn my vote. I think half the problem of politics is the left knows they have their people in the bag. Trump knows he has his people in the bag, and the Republican Party knows you can't vote for them, and they know that they can't vote for you. So I think that they don't really do that much for us. So I try to use my vote for leverage and make these people compete for my vote. So that's half of the reason why I say what I say. But yeah, I'm not really that thrilled about the primary. Someone said Vivek is an easy win. He definitely seems like one of the most appealing candidates, but I just don't think it's his time. And I'm not saying he couldn't do it. I'm just saying I think Trump is going to get more votes than Vivek this election cycle. Someone said, so you're saying there's a chance? Susan said, that's not good advice. Okay, let's start with Susan. Susan, why is it not good advice to use your vote as leverage and try to get politicians to compete for you? Why is that not a good advice? Is it better advice to tell people just hand your vote over to somebody a year before the election and let them know that there's nothing that they could do to lose or gain your vote? I think that's bad advice, but let me know why. Jen said, how are you so good at journalism? I know you say it's simple, but a majority of people don't do it. Well, let me rant for an hour about how great I am about journalism. So first, you have to wake up and feel like gold. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. Yeah, I guess I maybe I could put a course or something one time, but I don't know. I guess it's a hard question to answer. I mean, I feel very flattered. Thank you so much. But it's like putting the puzzle pieces together. There's only so much data out there, and then you have your intuition. But a lot of the stuff that, for example, some predictions that people say, how did you know that 2 years in advance when it came to mandatory vaccines? I was looking at the data and they were already trying to do it. So while other people were focused on certain plots and certain stories and liking someone or hating someone, I was trying to get past that. So I think it's a long-winded answer. I don't want to spend too much time, but I think just being honest with yourself, looking at all the data, taking the information, and being able to sift through it. There's an old Dick Gregory quote, and he used to say this is one of my favorite quotes. I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to say it wrong, but I'm going to get the essence of it. Dick Gregory, American legend. He said, I buy $600 worth of newspapers a week. And he goes, I don't believe the newspapers. I don't believe them at all. But I'm looking for the cracks in the matrix. I read all the news and I look for the cracks in the matrix. I butchered his quote, but that's, to save yourself from a boring, long-winded answer, it's like seeing the cracks in the matrix will help. But I know that probably didn't help your answer. Sorry. It would take me an hour to really figure out how I do everything. Someone said, I wish Trump and Biden would step down. We need term limits and age limits. What do you think? I don't know. I think there's young people who are just as bad, and it's a fake democracy or whatever they say it is. So people can choose not to vote for Biden or Trump. Trump is running against a 48-year-old in a 40-year-old. If people want to vote for the almost 80-year-old, then they can vote for Trump. I see both sides of term limits. On one hand, it's probably smart to keep it under like 75. On another hand, there's young politicians that are just as devious as the old ones. But personally, I think 80 is too old, and I think Biden's too old. Honestly, I think Trump's too old. And I think once he hits a certain age, it's like being a 50-year-old MMA fighter. Everyone could say what they want, but the bar is so low in politics that no one seems to care because, there's young people who are worse. But I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. If they change term limits and age limits, I'll be fine. But also people have we need to get smarter, or else we're just going to get scammed by like a 30-year-old instead of like a 70-year-old, I think. So I see the pros and cons to both sides. Someone said life expectancy 78 years. It's insane to pick someone to be expected to be dead in a 4-year job. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Someone said age discrimination. I'm not. I mean, if you want to go for it at 80, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. It's probably not the ideal age to run everything. But I think it also proves that they're not really doing it. Like Biden's not really coming up with these decisions. And Trump, if he wins again, it's going to be a lot of delegating responsibility. I don't know how much he's going to do. A lot of meetings, a lot of talking, a lot of delegating. It's a crazy job, president. Someone said taxes are too high. I agree. I'm running up. Let me see what other people are saying. 4 years of Trump will guarantee more chaos, said Joe. Hunter's looking for the cracks too, said Josh. Yeah, he's looking for the cracks in the Matrix too, but I don't think we're talking about the same crack. Me and Hunter, we're looking for crack. I'm looking for cracks in the Matrix. He's looking for crack in the Matrix, Anyway, that's funny. I like a good pun. I like a good dad joke. Let's not kid ourselves. Someone said love anomaly. However, he needs to go deeper. Masonry, Talmud, Jesuit order, satanic cults, etc. Politics is the veil. Okay. Thank you. I mean, I've talked about some of the elements of all of those, but I'm not running like I don't know. I'm just doing analysis, but I hear you. I appreciate you. Someone said you can't do age discrimination in any other business. I think you get sued. You might be right. It might not be possible. Is it age discrimination though? Like, do you want an 100-year-old pilot? Hey, everybody, I'm your pilot. Come on, bro. He's like, oh, what do you hate me because of my age? It's like, no, I just like, is that the ideal age to drive this thing? I would think not. But if that's, if you land the plane, I'm gonna give you a standing ovation and I want an autograph, but it's not what I would want to see. How do you is there like a test they do or something? Someone said 65 is the cutoff. Yeah, apparently it's not an age discrimination for them. I have no idea. Let me see. Thank you for doing this stream. I've been dying to say that the opening song to the podcast is bad. Need an update. I hear that feedback. I mean, to be honest, that song that I did for the intro, I didn't mix or master it. Like the audio is really raw, and I just like found a random beat that I had laying around. So I would say that I put like very minimal effort into it, and I think I could do a better. I mean, I know I could do a better song. So I hear the complaints about my intro. A lot of people are complaining because it's rap. A lot of people think it sucks. Some people like it, but I think I could do better. And I'm gonna rap anyway, so it's just gonna be. I might switch it up eventually. Oh, by the way, I have a song coming out January 5th. It's my most personal song. I'm not going to give away the name yet, but yeah, I'm pumped about it. Everybody's been asking when I'm dropping new music. January 5th. It's the first Thursday, I think, of the new year. I'm really pumped to share it with you guys. So can I bring back the border photographer? Are you talking about Jorge Ventura? I don't know if he's a photographer, but he's like a border reporter. Yeah, I could bring back Jorge. He's a good guy, and he definitely has a lot of insight. He's a good guest. Someone said, I love the intro. It's charming. Some people do, some people don't. But I hear the complaints loud and clear. My daughter loves the song. Thank you. One thing I wanted to say, too, I try my best to have good language. I try my best. I truly do. sometimes I lose it a little bit. Sometimes I'm doing comedy and I think it's funny to say certain words. That's just how I feel. And then sometimes in the comments, people will say, Anomaly, my kids are watching, or this is not good for kids. Feel free to criticize me and say that don't curse. It's a bad thing to do. But if your kids are watching, I'm just being honest, even when I don't curse, it's not really a kid show. It's like an adult political show. I'm grateful. I try to have very nice language, and I feel bad when I curse and stuff, but it's not, even when I don't curse, it's not really a kid show. So I personally don't think kids should be watching, but that's not an excuse for my curses. I'm just saying. Someone said anomaly debate. Haha, he blocks any challenge to his BS on X. No, I don't block people who challenge me. I just block annoying people. I'll give you an example, and then you're probably somebody I blocked on X. Welcome to YouTube. You get to, Bailman 1002. I'll read your comment, okay, buddy? Since you got blocked on X, this is your time. I'll give you an example why I block people on X, then I'll get to more stuff. Some guy today, right? I post something about Javier Milei. I say, I think he's a puppet of the West, but I wish him luck, right? I say, I hope he does a lot of good things. He's already done some good things. He caved on the Paris climate agreement. He hangs out with Zelensky. I don't have high hopes for the guy. I think he's just another puppet, but I wish him luck, and I think he can accomplish some things, and I hope he does, and he already has. I'm not emotional about it. I don't live in Argentina. I've never lost a single day of sleep over politics in South America. Trust me, I don't care that much, but I wish the people there luck like I do all over the world. With that being said, this is why I block some guy, right? He comes in my comments. He goes, "Oh, what? I don't see why are you crying about this guy? Oh, you're crying about Milei. Tell me where he offended you, and you're so emotional about him." And it's like, bro, you're emotional about him. I'm not emotional at all. Block, because you're annoying, because you're not giving me feedback. You're not challenging what I said. You're doing the most beta male thing ever. You're crying about my opinion about a foreign leader while saying that I'm crying about it when I'm not even crying about it. You get what I'm saying? It's like, it's very passive aggressive beta where you're heavily emotional about it and you're saying I'm emotional. It's just annoying where it's like, do you have a counter to what I said? Or are you just like, you love, Milei so much that God forbid someone doesn't see it the way you do. Like, it hurts your feelings. So then you say it hurts their feelings. Like, it's very like childish. That's a block. It's not because you disagreed with me. It's just annoying. And it had like nothing to do with what I said. Hype B said $20 super chat from Sweden, bro. Not gonna lie, the way we handled COVID was thumbs up. It's crazy. Yeah, I know. Sweden kept open. God bless you. Hey, I'll take that. Is that foreign influence? $20 super chat from Sweden. Now if I come out and I start talking about Sweden supremacy, that super chat bought me out. Let me read. Did that guy ever say what he said? Because I wanted to give him a thing. Bailman said, "Oh, thanks." Were you that guy, Bailman, or was that somebody else? Someone said, "I think you misread my comment. What do I think of the statement? Birth rates are too low because taxes are too high." I mean, that's an interesting one. I think that the financial stress of these times can prevent people from having a lot of kids. I think it's a lot of things, though. And I think, to be honest, here's another thing, too. Like, the person that asked how I'm good at journalism, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I think if you see everything as a puzzle piece, it's not always just one thing or another. So what's driving down birth rates? The lack of religion, the lack of family, the propaganda, the satanic influence in media and culture, the liberalism of our society. Also, taxes are extremely high. The burden of society is tough. I think all of these play a part of why people are having less children. Social media, the era of digital stuff, just driving people crazy. The understanding that there are so many partners out there and you're connected to more people. So it feels like it's not just like a hometown where you just find your milady and you marry her. I think it's all of those things at once. What's causing the most of it, I'm not sure, but I think anyone would be lying to you if they said that it wasn't playing a part at all. $5 super chat from MP said, "How do we actually get Vivek to answer the questions you raised? Seems to me like people have just been bamboozled again and he dodges the bullet." I'm glad you brought up Vivek, because a lot of people are asking me, do you regret what you said? Or have you changed your stance? And I wanted to answer that. Do I regret what I said? Not at all. I gave a great journalistic interview. He basically was trying to give me a 25-minute interview. I felt a little, and I'm not mad because I know he's busy, but I felt a little slighted that they said it was a 30-minute interview and he basically putzed around for like 10 minutes. So it was going to now be cut to like a 25-minute interview. By the time he talked in circles, it was going to be a 5-minute interview. So the reason I rushed all the questions and seemed a little rude is because I had 10 minutes to give an interview that was already cut short when he's doing like hour and a half long with other people. He doesn't owe me anything, but I wanted to get my questions in, and nobody asked him these journalistic questions about his pharmaceutical companies after the lockdown and his, the rhetoric that and the what we had to deal with, like a pharmaceutical guy popping up out of nowhere, sounding like everything you want to hear. It was a great journalistic interview. On that note, I do think that Vivek says everything that people want to hear, and I think it's really good. I think he's crushing the debates. I think he's very authentic in what he seems to be saying. I don't know. It's like, it almost seems like I was the one who came up with the name Chat GPT, because it just seems like he crunches all the data of everything like populist Republicans want to hear. And then he's that complete person. I'm just curious if he's like a professional, yes man who just says everything everyone wants to hear, if he's really going to do it. Personally, I think that Vivek is running, I'm not going to say a better campaign than Trump, because Trump's going to win just off his clout. But like Vivek is being more, he's saying things that appeal to me more than Trump is. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I hope he gets a position and I hope Vivek does well. Me personally, though, I just found it shocking how nobody in the Republican Party gave him a journalistic interview about where he was during the pandemic, why he was a different person 7 months ago, why he constantly, I just wanted to know. And also how he made the most money off of he made his pharmaceutical career off of a company where he bought a failed drug, sold it like it was the greatest thing in the world. It went up to $200 a stock and the whole thing crashed. Like, doesn't that seem like a pretty important story? Like, no one's gonna give the interview. So, I've figured out that the Republican Party is just like a hangout. People make a lot of money, they do business. And once you get to that top tier of like Republicans, they all just hang out and make money together, which is fine. But someone's got to give a journalistic interview. Someone's got to keep it real. It's like in that element, it's like keep it real, but keep it real and call Ron DeSantis small boot wearer. Don't keep it real with Trump or Vivek. Like, that's the whole vibe. So I was just shattering the echo chamber. Long story short, the question about Vivek, I think that I hope he gets a big position in the Republican Party, because the Republican Party sucks and they're all a bunch of losers. And, Vivek deserves a chance to show that he's better than them, because how bad can he be? He's not worse than Johnson or McCarthy. Vivek is already better than 99% of the Republican Party without even trying. So give him a spot. I'm just, I'm not here to just, be a cheerleader. It's like, I wanted questions answered that weren't answered. So let me see. I want to see what he does given the position, but it's not going to be president. It's going to be some cabinet position or something. Do I think RFK Jr. could be a unifying figure for both parties if he were to win? In some ways, I think some people are divided and they don't want to unite. I think in some ways, RFK could do a better job to bring certain people to a certain place. But I personally stopped believing in RFK when he got called anti-Semitic, and then he was, parading around just being a status quo, apology tour, sort of thing. And it's like, I'm over that, because he's surrounding himself by people that have personally tried to smear me and call me all sorts of names that I'm not. So when you have somebody basically start a smear campaign against you and try to essentially tie you to criminals, people in jail, people who have money seized by the feds, and that person is calling you names and trying to start an entire smear campaign against you, and then RFK goes on a tour with that person, do you think I'm going to trust RFK? Of course not. So, RFK's campaign is dead to me from that day on. And it's, it's a show for the masses to believe that they have somebody, but I could care less about RFK at this point. I hope he gets a position at FDA or HHS. But I don't know. I don't really believe in him in any sort of like tangible way anymore. Let me see. What are my plans this coming year? Any specific goals? Yeah, I mean, I have like personal goals, business goals, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. But I would say, I would like to make some timeless content, make some timeless music. I would say I feel like I already have an impact and I'm already culturally like relevant. So that's like, I'm taking care of that. I'll never sell out. I'll never be a phony. So I want to get my business structure in line. Because the thing is, if I don't get my business structure in the right line, then I'm not going to be able to have the impact forever because, things cost money. So it's like on a business scale, I have a few different ideas. On a personal scale, but I would say make great content. And I always try to adapt and evolve with the times because I believe that I'm a timeless character in this game. Like, I don't think I'm somebody that's just going to fall away and say, oh, remember him 3 years ago? Like, I want to be relevant. And the way that I think I can maintain that is by being authentic, but more important, I wouldn't say more importantly, but make great content. I don't want to be someone who makes excuses about anything. Things change. People want different things, podcasts, short reels, just, keep figuring out a way to be effective and evolve with the times, to not fall by the wayside, I would say is a big goal. But the overarching goal is always like, you want to provide great content. And I think I want to provide honest content. And although at certain times it's not popular, I think it makes me stand out when 99% of these people, they all sound the same. They all say the same things. And it becomes almost like a tribal, like people haven't even heard these ideas. And I want to read another comment, but I know there's people where it's like, they know if they ever sat and debated me about certain stuff that they would look dumb. So they don't. It's like, they just want to hang out with people who say the same things as them. And then when I kind of debate them, they're like, oh yeah, that's true. But I don't want to really talk about that because it's better to just like, hang out with all our guys and say the same stuff and make fun of Ron DeSantis's boots. And it's, it's very like, in my opinion, the Republican media sphere is getting like McDonald's-ized because it's business. It's a good business. It's like McDonald's was probably better quality at first, but then they figured out how to be in 10,000 locations and make it $5.99 and make it worse, but make more money off it. Like, I think it's a big industry right now, and there's a lot of people capitalizing on it. All right, Bailman, I'll give you a chance, buddy. You said you sound no different than most of legacy media. That's not true at all, but can you, since you're crying about me blocking you on Twitter, you're crying about me sounding like legacy media, can you articulate why or how I sound like legacy media at all, or how I'm even remotely the same? Because nobody believes you. It's just like, all right. Someone said, it doesn't matter who you support. Newsom has been pre-selected as the next president. I don't think so. I don't even think he's going to take over Biden's spot, but we'll see. We'll see if Newsom runs now or in 2028. Someone said, only a handful of conservatives get promoted while the rest of us get throttled and locked. In many ways, it's true, but we can't play the victim, right? We can't sit around and feel sorry for ourselves. And nobody wants to hear that. It's like, oh, they won't let me in. It's like, well, then make your own lane. You get what I'm saying? We got to work harder. If you do think that that's happening, sometimes sitting and feeling bad for yourself, it only drives people further away from you. And then you'll be like, wait, why is nobody listening to me? So we got to not play the victim and just like figure out, give it just the same way. If like the mainstream media won't let me in, I can't just cry about it. I got to like do my own thing. Okay. This is a great one. Bailman, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you for saying something. How is paying for the jab socialism? Thank you so much for the question, Bailman. I was waiting for you to say something that actually mattered. Okay. If Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, if they just came up with this amazing product in the free market and their product was so good, everyone's running to the stores to buy their product, then it's not socialism. That's called capitalism. That's free market capitalism. The free market allowed the three best products in the world to save everybody from COVID. Socialism is when the country shut down and you give $18 billion of taxpayer money to a select few pharmaceutical groups, including Moderna, which has a joint patent with the government. It's literally a government socialist collab from the jump. And then the government with Donald Trump and Biden, but first it was Trump that bought 100 million doses of the product with government taxpayer money. And now all these products are free. And the vaccine, since the day that Trump purchased them and then Biden purchased them, they've all been free because they're not free. They were government funded. Some of them were government created and government owned, government bought. Do you get what I'm saying? Nothing about that is free market at all. It's all socialist. But people's brains are so scrambled that they like Trump or they hate Trump or they're obsessed with him that they can't bring themselves to realize that Trump is basically a pharmaceutical socialist. And he did one of the craziest socialist scams in modern history. even without the mandate, it's still all socialist because it's free because he purchased it with your money. And this is another story, but all the inflation isn't just because of Biden. It's also because Trump and the Republicans printed too much money. But in general, like I say this, and this is what makes me an outcast. This is why I can't hang out with Patrick Bet-David and Tim Pool and all these other people anymore, because it's like I'm speaking the truth about this topic and nobody brings it up. They just hang out with each other and they just go to speaking gigs. So it's like, you get what I'm saying? Like what I said is factually true. It's literally true. It's against the principles that Charlie Kirk claims to be against, but they all just circle jerk around Donald Trump now and they make fun of Ron DeSantis. And that's like the new influencer class is like, I'm outcasted now, even though I'm more impressive than a lot of these people like Tim Pool. But it's like, that's what you don't say. You can't say your party failed you. You can't say your party's a socialist party. You have to just brainwash everybody into thinking that Trump's some great right-wing capitalist that has never done socialism in his life and he's fighting the Biden administration. Like that's all they allow. You get what I'm saying? And honestly, it annoys me because it's like now there's like an active, I feel like, blockage where it's like, don't allow people to hear Anomaly because Anomaly's telling the truth and he'll make us all look stupid. And we don't want to allow the truth on our platforms because then everybody will realize that we're kind of like half-baked intellectuals and half-baked truth tellers. So let's just pretend like he doesn't exist, even though he's bigger than 99% of the people we talk to. And we'll just have people who agree with us or like low-level debates and stuff. And it's starting to tick me off because I don't need any attention. I don't need any money. I don't need any fame. But you're brainwashing the Republican Party. The Republican Party is watered down, and all the conservative people who listen to these podcasts, they don't know anything anymore. And then I say it, and I seem so crazy because nobody understands this stuff. So it's kind of pissing me off now because at the end of the day, it's like, if you won't let me speak on the podcast, at least have somebody else who says this sort of stuff, like maybe a Thomas Massey or somebody else. But no one wants to say that. So the fact that you don't even know how the vaccine scheme was socialist is crazy. Like, free market capitalism is you rushing out to buy Pfizer and Moderna products because they're so great. Socialism is when the government funds it, the government owns it, the government buys it, the government buys all the doses pre-sale and then tells you it's free. How could you not understand that that's socialist? But people don't understand it because their brains are being fried by people like Charlie Kirk and Tim Pool into just understanding left bad, right good. Ben Shapiro yells at blue-haired lady, you know, like that's all people know on the right. So like people's brains are turning into mush, which makes me seem somewhat controversial for just saying blatant, obvious economics that they believed 3 years ago. Like, you know, it's crazy. Read a few more. Someone said, just here for a minute to hear the dude cry. He never disappoints. I'm not crying. I mean, can you disagree with me? It's like telling a kid to stop watching like Paw Patrol or something. It's like, you're right, but I just want to watch the cartoon version of what I wish things were instead of what they really were. It's not crying. It's just the truth. Someone said, Donald Trump didn't single-handedly buy all the vaccines. Congress did. The Trump administration purchased 100 million doses. I'm not, and this is the difference that you don't understand. It's not like I'm like, oh, Donald Trump came up with this idea completely and he's the only one. Yeah, he's the head of the government. Him, McConnell, Pelosi. But the problem with the right is like it's an economic cash cow Trump fest where it's like he's totally innocent, even though he's the head of the federal government who signs all the paperwork. Like, you don't think he was in on it? He bragged. Like, it's just like, it's so embarrassing. Would I debate the Modern Day Debate channel or Crucible channel? I don't know what that is, but sure, it sounds fun. But I have no idea what channel that is. Yeah, I would. I love debating. I love, like, it's fun. That's why I'm here. Let me read let's see. Former Portlandian here. Watching Tim Pool, Scott Adams, PBD, Charlie Kirk. Your next album should be called My Hubris Oozeth Anomaly. I could tell you're from Portland because you said My Hubris Oozeth. Like, anywhere else in the country, nobody thinks that's funny. But if you tell enough hipsters in Portland, they're like, wow, you told him he's oozing hubris. Like, maybe that makes sense over a Kraft burger and a garlic aioli sauce. But everywhere else in the country, they look at people like you from Portland and they're like, ew, that was really dumb. So do you have anything to disagree with what I said or no? Like, is it just like, I listen to Tim Pool, so you're oozing hubris. It's like, all right, bro, tell somebody in Portland that joke. Maybe they'll laugh before they shit on the porch outside your house. Someone said interview Anders Tegnell man in charge during COVID. I don't know who that is, but I'll look it up. Why don't you talk about 500-word vocabularies where you are? I don't even know what you're talking about. Let's see. There are YouTube channels that focus on debates. I know Andrew Wilson runs the Crucible channel, which is a Christian nationalism channel that does a lot of political debates. The modern day, does he just do Christian debates? I mean, I don't know that I'm trying to have like a theological debate with another Christian. I'd rather do politics, just because I feel like that's more my expertise, you know? And the point that I'm saying with these type of people, I like Patrick. I don't like Tim. I'm not gonna lie. Charlie, I don't really like him, but he's okay. It's just the average convo that's going on in conservative Republican world. It's like make fun of Ron DeSantis's boots, never say anything like people don't eat when you ask people on the conservative side, and it's like, how is Operation Warp Speed socialist? It's like, what's the point of even being like a conservative at a Charlie Kirk event if you don't even know what socialism is? Like, you know, it's like if socialism in your head is only when liberals do stuff and it's not like an economic policy that is tangible, then you're not a capitalist. You're a Trump support. Like, you get what I'm saying? A lot of people, they're not capitalists. They're not libertarians. They're not conservatives. They're like Trump worshipers. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, if Nancy Pelosi does this, it's socialism. But if Trump does the same exact thing, it's not socialism, because I don't want it to be, because I'm here to cheer this guy on. And the influencer class is perpetuating this type of like mind numbing like rhetoric. So it's like 4 years of the same stuff in the conservative Inc. circle. And like the brains of people are turning into mush. But the thing is, when your brain is mush, it's easier to just sell you stuff. You know what I'm saying? You turn the brain into mush, and then you just sell the product that you've been selling for 4 years. So it's like you brainwash people into only understanding 5 things. Then you sell them those 5 things and you make a fortune off of it. It's just like, I'm here to debate and answer questions, but like, I'm not trying to be the bad guy or controversial. Like, now in these circles, it's like, oh, Anomaly is crazy. Why? Because he says Operation Warp Speed was a socialist vaccine scheme. But it's like, was it? Yeah. So why is that crazy? Well, it's crazy because we never talk about it. So it's crazy because we don't actually want to say it, but we all know it. That's why it's crazy, because, you know, it's smarter to just not say it and, you know, like capitalize off of that world. Yo, Anomaly, what do you think about Alex Jones and Elon talking? I didn't hear it all, but I mean, it's a good thing. Conversations are not bad. So I'm all for Alex being back on social media. I'm all for Elon and Alex talking. I think people talking is totally good. You know, it's like, it's not, I'm not against it at all, but I don't know what they even talked about, to be honest. I haven't heard it. Someone said Elon sounded really dumb. He's not a bright guy. I think Elon's smart. I think sometimes like he plays dumb, you know, like Joe Rogan does the same thing. It's like, you don't want all the smoke all the time. So sometimes you got to like maneuver, you know, it's just like Elon, he gets in enough trouble. Same with like people like Joe. So I think sometimes, I didn't hear the whole conversation, but I feel like Elon's not going to go on a Twitter podcast and be like, I agree with everything that Alex Jones said. Like, you know, like I'm sure that he doesn't agree with everything Alex says, but also it's smarter to just be like, it's smarter to just let Alex say it and be like, I didn't know about that. Or, you think so? Like, Elon's a top dog. I don't think he's dumb by any means. I just think he's, someone said Elon is not a bright guy. W2F, you clown. Yes, Tyrone in all caps on YouTube. You're so much smarter than Elon Musk. Yes, Elon Musk is an idiot, right? Just a total dumbass, right? And you're a genius. Sure, whatever you want to tell yourself. I don't think Elon's dumb, but if you do, whatever. Today, what Julia said, do you have anyone in particular that you'd like to interview that you haven't already? tomorrow Jim Brewer is coming on. That's going to be funny. So if you guys like Jim and check out his new stand up. But we've talked before. Um, I mean, I would like to interview a lot of people. I would love to interview Trump. I would love to interview DeSantis. But the thing is, I don't know. It's like the media is just going to call me anti-Semitic 10 million times. So I don't know if I feel like dealing with that, because like the totally not Zionist media that totally doesn't control both parties and totally doesn't control DeSantis and Trump and RFK and everybody, they go absolutely batshit whenever I get an opportunity, because God forbid there's like one person in Congress that doesn't believe in foreign aid. They need the whole Congress. And then they need to say it's anti-Semitic to say that they have Congress. It's like, it's like, that's what happens if I interview Trump, Vivek, any of these people, RFK. But I'd love to interview all of them, and I don't really care what the media says anymore, because they're just, they call me names, but they never say I'm wrong, because I'm not. So it's whatever. But I don't know. Yeah, it's like, I would like to interview Trump, but I don't think it's going to happen. Trump, he's not going to interview with people like that question him. He's just going to give out awards to like people that just never, it's like he's creating a coalition of like people that would probably sacrifice their own family in a fire pit to hell for 10 more minutes at a table with him. So I don't think he's in the business of talking to me. But there's a lot of people I'd love to interview. Anomaly, what do I think of the ancestry DNA test being forbidden in Israel? Is that actually true? Let me see. DNA forbidden, and probably smart. Is that not true? Wait, oh yeah, Israel. Okay, interesting. Want to fully understand, this is from Jerusalem Post. Want to fully understand your family genealogy, not without a court order? According to some ancestry websites, there are indicators to tell you if you possess Jewish DNA or not. While millions of such kits have been sold in the United States, Israelis are forbidden to buy ancestry DNA kits from the store without presenting a court order. Wow, that's crazy. I did not know that. It's pretty wild. And who owns 23andMe? It's Susan Wojcicki's sister, Ann Wojcicki. Fascinating. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that pretty much speaks for itself. I think it's smart that they don't allow their people to do that, and I think that's what that's what our allies are all about. It's like we do stuff and they don't do stuff, and then it's called hate speech if we don't want to do it. So I don't, it's pretty wild. I haven't fully processed what I think about it, but I don't think giving your genetic information to a company owned by the YouTube CEO sisters is like the best idea, but I wouldn't be super paranoid about it. Although it's very, eventually they're like, these corporations are just going to have all our stuff anyway, but I'm not giving my info. I agree with Israel on that. I think it's smart to tell their people not to do that. So it's a good rule in my opinion. Another win for the good guys, right? Someone said, you're having Jim Brewer on. That's dope. I got hella family and friends who are going to watch one of his shows in March. His live shows are great. So yeah, I'm pumped. Jim's really fun to talk about. Someone said, all right, let me see some other ones. Someone said, Elon is an actor that put the DOD. Elon is an actor that the Department of Defense put him up to it. I don't know. He's doing a pretty good job with his actions. I don't listen to words. I look at actions, where Elon's doing more than the GOP is doing, in my opinion, for culture, for free speech, for America, for combating the left. Like, I think Elon's done more than Trump has done, but that's debatable. Obviously, that's my perception. Who he works for, what he does, I'm not really sure. I'm not going to make accusations, but I look at his actions, and I think in the last couple of years during COVID with Twitter, he's done more net positive things that actually help America more than anybody in the GOP. And I think, part of it, in my view, is Elon seems like he's actually trying. And I don't think people in the Republican Party really try. Like, I think they're mostly just like saying things. But what do I think on Ye's new album? Is it going to be fire? From what I heard, it sounds more secular. Like he's not, he's saying things that he wouldn't have said in his Christian album. So it feels like he's wilding out again. I'm always excited to hear more new, Ye music. So he very rarely puts out terrible stuff. He's very like OCD with like, how good it is. So I'm guessing it's going to be good, but it doesn't, it seems like he's getting back to just wilding out and saying wild stuff. For a while, he wouldn't curse in his rap songs. And he was like, only putting out songs with no curses. But I think that's over, that era. What's my opinion on Benny Johnson? I think he's pretty I didn't know if you said autistic or authentic. He's pretty authentic. Okay. Sorry. I wasn't making a joke. I just couldn't read it. Interested in your opinion. I've never met him. I'm not like, I don't know. To me, I think that he's a good businessman. I think he's doing like, I thought his Christmas video was very smart and very thoughtful. But I think it's like a Mr. Beast style thing where it's like, this is going to get a lot of views, which was cool. I've never met him, but to me, what I see from him, I just see a lot of like very generic Republican stuff. Like I feel like if I followed like Benny Johnson and Cat Turd, I feel like I would be stupid in 3 years. I'm not trying to be mean, but I feel like it's very like low level clickbaity sort of stuff where like, I'm not mad at the guy. It's just like anytime people get mad at me on Twitter, it's usually like all they do is retweet Benny Johnson and Cat Turd. So I think that there's something going on where it's just like, I don't know. I'm not really interested in what he does, but he posts some interesting stuff sometimes. Watch Anders Tegnell's interviews in the height of COVID. I'll check it out. Let me see. Someone said Benny's a good man. That's obvious, but he's very annoying. Yeah, I'm not ever watching a video of the guy. No offense, but with the stuff that they post, I just think, he just posts very generic like Republican stuff. And in my view, if you're just following like a Benny and like a Team Red guy or a Team Trump guy, like he'll never post anything that even slightly makes Trump look bad because that's his cash cow. But in general, it's like if you follow Benny and a bunch of other people, there's nothing wrong with it. But like if you only follow these people, I think in 3 years you're going to be like really dumb, and you're going to be like the right wing version of a left winger, where it's like you only know, in this little world of like Team Red, Team Trump. And it's like, I think it's driving people insane personally, but, that's on you of like who you consume and what you do. But to that, as somebody that is in this space, I'm just not interested in stuff like that. I feel like it makes me dumber, like just like listening to these people. But, do you help other small YouTube channels grow or give advice? I mean, I've helped a lot of people grow. I'm not going to just name a list of it, but I think over my career, I probably helped more people blow up and grow. Sorry, I put a thing on the screen. I didn't mean to click that, but I've helped a lot of people just out of the kindness of my heart and out of, honestly, I think I have good A&R vision. Like just that's a hit, that's a smash hit. I always try to elevate, like Thomas Massey. Like I've never got a cent from that guy, but I'm constantly promoting him just because I think he's the best person in Congress and he deserves more support. And I'm hoping if more people like him, he'll get more power and then maybe our party can shift. So I'm always trying to help. But if you're like a small YouTube asking for like consulting or something or like social media advice, I do have a website now. It's dreamrarebiz.com, DREAMRARBIZ.com, dreamrarebiz. And I'm trying to do two things in the new year, like business wise. One, do more social media consulting with companies. Because guys, I built all this from the ground. I have 1 billion views. I don't spend a single dollar on ads. It's all organic. So I'm looking to help people that way. And also sponsorships. Like I'm always looking for products and partners that like my show and they want to, sponsor me. But I'm just super picky. Like I turn down a lot of stuff just if it doesn't align. But yeah, you could check out that website if that's what you're talking about. Bellman, you're fascinating to me because like you're calling me a narcissist or whatever. I've never spent 44 minutes watching somebody I don't like. I'm not even joking. Like I can't even watch somebody I do like for that long because I feel like I have like attention issues. It's just fascinating to me that you're here like complaining, but you just keep watching me. Like it's actually almost narcissistic of you because like with me, it's my show. It's not like, why are you here, Anomaly? It's like, Are you a narcissist? It's my show. It's my, like, I don't go to your YouTube channel when you're live streaming and be like, why are you here? I hate this. You're a narcissist. Like, maybe you're like talking in the mirror. This might be like a psychological analysis where it's like you're talking to yourself through my YouTube channel. Let me see. Someone said, let's just say force the jab. I guarantee it wasn't Trump, even though he did Operation Warp Speed. Here's a point I want to make too. Then I want to answer more questions because I want to do other stuff. This is why the Republican Party loses, because the base is too naive and the base is too nice, in my opinion. Like, it's not like as tough as everybody wants to say they are. But in general, it's like if you do certain steps, they're going to use it against you. So the Republicans do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8 in the wrong direction, right? And then the Democrats come through and they do something crazy at the end. And then all the Republicans go, gasp. We didn't want you to do all that. But it's like, if you give $18 billion of socialist money to the pharmaceutical industry, you're going to get scammed. They're constantly scamming everybody when there's no socialist things helping them. The more money and power you give them, like Trump hired a pharmaceutical lobbyist to run the entire health department above Fauci. If you do that and then give them $18 billion, of course they're going to mandate the vaccine. That's how I was able to predict a mandatory vaccine in 2019 and 2020. Before the lockdown, I predicted a mandatory vaccine. And before 2020, I predicted a mandatory vaccine because I'm not predicting it. I'm reading the blueprint while you're following Benny Johnson and Cat Turd. And I'm not trying to be a dick, but that's very surface level team sports stuff. And that's why nobody knows everything. And that's why I was 2 years ahead of knowing the mandatory vaccine. They were already trying to do it, and Trump opened up the floodgates, and then the Democrats mandated on you, and the Republicans go, we didn't mandate it. Yeah, but you gave them everything they could have possibly wanted to do it. The Republican Party is controlled opposition. The best analogy is Owen Benjamin always used to say this, where it was the Harlem Globetrotters, and they play this other team, and the team tours with them, and they go on tour, and they lose every time, but they're just on tour to lose. Like, they're professional losers. They go there, and the Harlem Globetrotters win every game by 1 because it's scripted. That's the Republican Party. That's Trump. I know people don't want to believe that. They're like, no, these Republicans are really fighting for us. Thomas Massey's really fighting for you, and Trump tried to kick him out of the party, and DC Drano tried to kick him out of the party, and Benny Johnson said nothing because he's Team Trump. So it's like, these are the people that you think are going to save you because they didn't mandate the vaccine. This is the Republican Party. They're professional losers. They're there to set you up. And then as soon as the Globetrotters dunk in your face, they say, we're on the other team. But you let them dunk. You gave them the opportunity to dunk. You set the script in place. Like, this is where I'm different than other analysts. So nobody wants to hear what I'm saying, but I'm right. And I'll go face to face, toe to toe with any top analyst in the Republican Party that disagrees with me, and I'll make them look like a child, and they know that. That's why they don't want to debate or converse with me. They're like, that's why Tim Pool probably sabotaged my flight when I was going to go on a show, because it's like, oh, well, we've never had this happen before. Well, that's weird. You've had hundreds of guests and you've never booked them an hour before they were supposed to be on the show. Why did you do it to me then? That's a little weird. It's like, they know that I know. So, they just cash out on you and turn your brain into mush. And I say unpopular things that end up being right 3 years in advance. It's like, it's not, if I were narcissistic, I would sit and tell you I'm a prophet and Jesus told me in a dream to tell you that the mandatory vaccines were coming. I'm not narcissistic, so I'm telling you, you can do it too. I'm not telling you I'm smarter than you or better than you. I'm saying you can do what I'm doing. It's really just as simple as not following the characters in politics, but following what they do. If Donald Trump takes a meeting with Bill Gates and passes an executive universal flu vaccine order 6 months before a lockdown, that's a huge piece of data that he talked to Bill Gates in 2018 about a universal flu vaccine. And then he passed an executive order in 2019. He took $1 million from Pfizer. He hired a pharmaceutical lobbyist to run HHS. And then Democrats are trying to mandate the vaccine in 2019. These are all huge data sets that I'm putting in to my brain, where other people are not. It's like, no offense, but like Benny Johnson memes, like, look at Trump handing out pizza. That's how I'm 3 years ahead, because I'm analyzing all these things, and everybody else is giving you like a Kardashian breakdown of Trump versus Biden or Trump. Like, the funniest thing in MAGA world is like, look at the boots of DeSantis. Let's joke about that for a year. It's like, okay, it was funny the first 5 times, but like, and there are some funny things about it, but it's like, is there any substance? Like, they're not taking data and telling you the truth. They're basically, in my view, controlled opposition. They're just making a little story that's not really complete, so you keep like running circles around yourself. That's my view of how things are going. That's why I say what I say. And I'm willing, any of these top analysts, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, any of them, I'm willing to debate and converse with them. Since 2019, I've been saying I want to debate Ben Shapiro on hate speech, because I believe that he believes in hate speech while he says he doesn't. And that's only escalated since then, especially recently, the last couple months. But I know I'm right, and I know they're wrong, and I know that a lot of what they do is basically try to, you know, create the illusion that they're super right by only having like fake debates, like, or like a debate that's so obviously unbalanced that like they look super right about the topic they're talking about. But who isn't controlled opposition? I'm not trying to sit here and tell you who's who. And I don't, to be honest, I don't even think that a lot of these people know that they're doing it. Like, I'm not even saying that like someone's calling them and telling them to do it. I just think it's like a sports team vibe that they have going on, and they're more interested in business and social circles than they are certain things. Like, and certain data points bother them because if they input that data point into their analysis, then they lose a lot of money and sponsors, like, I want to say more than I'm saying right now, but I'm not going to. But I'll just be generic with it. There's one sponsor that's super super huge in the Republican Party, right? I would say like it's not a donor, but it's like a big company that's sponsoring everybody, right? The president's son is involved with that company, right? Nothing wrong with it. I like Don Jr. I like the company. Nothing wrong with it. Do you think they want to sponsor anybody that questions Donald Trump at all? Of course not. So it's like, I've met with the people, they said they wanted to work with me, and then they pretty much just ghosted me. Why? I don't care. It's not because I don't have an audience. I'm looking at who they're sponsoring. They sponsor people with 1/1000th of the audience that I have. People, complete nobodies that get no traction whatsoever. They're doing it because it's like, if you question Trump, you lose the money. And I've been told this by people who run ads for a bunch of people. They said, Anomaly, so many people want to say what you're saying about Trump and DeSantis and just keeping it real like that. They agree with you, but they're afraid to say it because they have a family to feed, and they know that half of their sponsors will leave them if they talk about that. The same way, if you're left wing and you compliment Trump, then they pull your sponsors. But there's this new, like, the cash cow is now Trump on the right, where it's like any sort of analysis or real interview about him, then you lose it. Like, they don't want to sponsor people. Like, they just want to sponsor because business wise, it makes sense. If you make a bunch of money off Trump supporters, you don't want someone like that shatters it. You might lose like 25% of business. So it's like, just keep this going and give it to people that say these sort of stuff. Someone said you can't prove that. Says you could think that. I don't care, but this is for your consideration. If you want to believe that that's not true, you can believe it. Damn Bigfoot said, Anomaly, how do you reconcile with the anti-maskers who went against the social cohesion of the nation just to be a hipster? Just to be hipster, contrarian libertarians. Right wing is against libertarianism. Are you saying that wearing masks was social cohesion of the nation? I'll tell you, as somebody that was against masks completely, it has nothing to do with being a hipster libertarian. I know the science of my breathing. I know the science of like working out, exercising, and taking care of myself. And I don't want to close my nose and my mouth off. It dehumanizes me. It's hard to breathe. It hurts me. I don't need a doctor to tell me that it's physically hurting me. And I'm not going to be abused. I'm not a slave. I'm not a prisoner. I'm not a serf. Has nothing to do with being a contrarian. That's my interpretation and my opinion about it. I didn't like it. I didn't want to wear it, and I didn't believe in it. But if you think social cohesion is an entire fat country that's fat, obese, everybody has diseases that nobody had 50 years ago. If you think social cohesion is everyone putting their face away while Gavin Newsom takes secret meetings when he says he's not with lobbyists of the health industry, then that's not really a nation that I'm trying to be a part of. So I don't believe that people were doing it to be libertarian hipsters. I think that they were standing for their freedom and their liberty and their health. I mean, me personally, I know the most healthy people I knew didn't want to wear it. and some of the least healthy people I knew were the biggest compliers. I'm not a doctor. I'm not for the sake of YouTube psychotic policies. I'm not telling people what to do because masks are not mandatory anymore. But me personally, my opposition to it had nothing to do with being a hipster or a contrarian. And to be honest, all my views have nothing to do with that. I just seem like a hipster contrarian because when everybody lies in unison, here's another test. I don't want to like live off of just this moment, but find me how many Republican influencers knew that mandatory vaccines were around the corner in 2019. There's a very small list, a very small list. Why did I know that? Why didn't Benny Johnson tweet that mandatory vaccines were around the corner? Why didn't he say that before the lockdowns? Why didn't he predict all of these things? You know what I'm saying? Because we're in different businesses. I'm analyzing the news. He's a team player. He's a Republican. He's a businessman. He's a Trump supporter. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's doing. He's finding clips to push one-sided propaganda of the people that he likes and making them look good. And it's not in his business or profession to question that, which is why the Republican Party constantly fails, because it's filled with people like that. So, like, was I a contrarian hipster when I said mandatory vaccines were around the corner? No, I was right. And 99% of Republicans didn't care about it because no one told them to care about it, because the herd mentality was going in a direction that had nothing to do with that topic. So they didn't think about it or talk about it or look into it. And that's a lot. It's a lot of things. Like the false narrative about myself is like, I'm doing these to be different. Wrong. You think I want to be on the outside of a lot of circles? Why would I? It's the truth. And I'd rather stick to my principles and the truth than like go along with a bunch of liars just for money. Another false narrative is like, oh, Anomaly's just saying that about Trump for money. It's horrible for money. What are you talking about? It's like the worst thing for your finances. And I've been, for those saying false and it's not true, I've literally been told by people that are ad managers for people. They literally get them money and get them sponsors. They told me that half of their clients literally say Anomaly's right about what he's saying about Trump and DeSantis. And when I was giving my analysis about that was unpopular. And he said that they can't say this. Like, they want to say this, but they can't say it or they're going to lose their sponsors, because a lot of their sponsors are super pro-Trump. So if they say that, they don't get the sponsors. I know that for a fact. I'm not saying it's everybody. I'm not over speculating, but it's like, it's not good for money to be a contrarian. It's good for money to just go along with what everyone's going with. What do I think about Oliver Darcy? What do I think Oliver Darcy did to Alex Jones? He went after his sponsors to silence him, just like they're doing to Elon Musk platforms. Yeah, and here's another hard pill for people to swallow. Let's put some things together. I mean, Alex Jones is a different beast, and definitely they went for his sponsors and over Sandy Hook and everything. But all right, when RFK was being very well loved, what word did they use against RFK to try to smear his character and make him look crazy? They called him anti-Semitic. What word are they using to try to take the sponsors away from Elon Musk and Twitter? What word are they using to take away the sponsors? Anti-Semitic. What word did Trump and DeSantis pass hate speech rules into American government via executive order and bill to basically normalize these hate speech rules and laws that these corporations are using? Anti-Semitism. So that's why Trump and DeSantis are controlled opposition. They say that they believe in free speech, and they pass anti-free speech laws. They pass laws that are being used by the other side in order to try to blackmail, blacklist, and censor people. It's the same thing with like saying America's never going to be a socialist nation and then printing $6 trillion. It's like the base is too stupid to realize that Trump became a socialist because he said he wasn't going to do it, and he said he wasn't going to do it while he was doing it. It's like Trump and DeSantis are controlled opposition, but that's okay. There's still good things about both of them, and there's some things, but it's like all these problems that you have that the left does, it's because the right is in on it, and people don't want to figure that out. It's like, I can't believe the left mandated it. It's like, I called it a year and a half before Trump gave them $18 billion, and both, like, where do you think all that money that he gave them went to? Do you think some of the ads and the propaganda that they were using against you came from the $18 billion of socialist money that Trump gave them? Of course. The Republicans give them everything they need to scam you. Same with the election. Trump gave Gavin Newsom and all these Democrats all the money, all the power, all the control, He paved out the way for mass mail-in ballots and the funding, and then something happens and he plays the victim, and everybody buys it. So that's why I'm a contrarian, because I'm right. 90% of people are wrong, but they have like a kindergarten, like Marvel understanding of politics. So what I say sounds crazy because they're saying a good guy versus bad guy, left versus right, and they can't figure out that their side is selling them out. Trump sold you out to the donors. Trump sold you out to the corporations. Trump sold you out to the pharmaceutical industry. But that's too scary of a narrative to figure out because all of these Tim Pool-like characters are telling you the complete opposite. So it doesn't, and then someone will come in here and be like, oh, you have so much hubris. It's like, it's nothing to do with hubris, bro. It's just the truth. Like, let me say more music, bro. We want the bars. I got probably my favorite song I've ever dropped is coming out on January 5th. It's a very personal song. You know what I'm saying? It includes more personal stuff. It's a banger. January 5th. I'll tell you the title. I think on December 16th, the pre-sale is out. So then I'll tell you. How do I feel about James O'Keefe? Well, I'm biased because I like James O'Keefe as a person. We've chatted. We get along. He's always been nice to me. So I'm going to admit I'm biased. I like James O'Keefe. But when it comes to James, I would say he also does things that have real impact. He's not someone who just runs around and does like speaking gigs and never makes any interesting content. James is in a different category than a lot of these people because Project Veritas and his new thing is like a next level. Like it's not for me personally. Like I would never want to do that type of work. It's crazy in my opinion. And I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying like it's a crazy business. It's a crazy industry. But I think like, James isn't just posting memes and stuff. He's doing like deep diving, like, journalism on like Pfizer. So to me, like he's one of the few people that actually like does something, and gets results and gets people to like resign and stuff. So, I would put James in a totally different category than like a Tim Pool or something. I think that's like offensive to even compare him to that. But I am also like slightly biased because I like him as a person, but I think even if I didn't like James as a person, I do, but I think I'd still feel the same way because his work is like in a whole, I don't think whether you like him or not, you can't be like, oh, he's like, it's like, how is he like Tim? He ran he showed that Democrats in 2016 were hiring people at Trump rallies to look crazy in order to blame on Trump. Like that's a huge scoop. You know what I'm saying? I'm impressed by stuff like that because like you can't have people faking things at rallies in order to make the other candidate look bad. Like that's pretty crazy. So yeah, some of his scoops are some of like the most important ones in the last like 6 years. So yeah, I like him. Someone said, and you trust Elon? Well, I've talked about this and it's not me being like negative or anything, but I don't expect anything from Elon. I don't like fully trust him. I'm just impressed by certain things that he's done. I think people misconstrue it because like it for some reason, and I'm not trying to be rude, but it's embarrassing that so many like adults think this way, like so without learning any lessons. But for some reason, people think you have to like obsess over somebody or hate them or give them no credit or give them all the credit. Like it's such a childish kind of thought process where with Elon, he's on borrowed time with me because I never trusted him to begin with. It's like, all right, billionaire doing this, like whatever, he's interesting. But like anything he does for me at this point, he's not a politician, is like a bonus. Like all these things when he says stuff or he does stuff to counter. As a content creator, X has done a 15 times better job. Like it's not his words. It's not like I'm trusting him out of blind faith. He's literally walked the walk and done it. And I've seen a literal benefit for me in this country and our country in general. I'm not going to follow him off a cliff if he ends up being another like phony and running the other way. And he says things I disagree with, but it's not all or nothing with me. Like I don't look at it like, oh, I have to completely trust everything he does or I have to hate him. I like a lot of things he's done. It's his actions, not his words, but don't confuse that with like blind trust of Elon. Like I don't know him. I don't like everybody thinks that Trump and Elon are like your uncle at trust your wife, trust your children or hope that you trust them. I don't know. It'd suck not to trust them, but like trust your family, trust your best friends. Like don't trust a billionaire that you've never met that owns a company and don't trust a politician if they've proven that they're not trustworthy. Like, there should be a different level of trust for your inner circle and a guy you've never met. And with what I do too, it's like I try to earn my trust based on what I do. And if I go off the rails and start doing things that are like terrible, then it's like, then you should not trust me based on my actions and my work. But it's like, some people don't trust me anymore because I disagree with Trump on a lot of stuff. But if they actually analyze what I'm saying, I'm completely right. It's just they don't want to face that. And their loyalty lies to Donald Trump. And I understand that. Like, I understand that a lot of people like Trump more than me. So if I say something that is like, well, he took a meeting with Bill Gates in 2018, did exactly what he said, and then did socialism for the pharmaceutical industry, they're not going to look at that and say Anomaly is completely wrong. They're just going to say, I don't like him because I don't want to hear that, or it doesn't matter to me. And it's like, okay, well, I can't really help you there, but that's not, I'm not looking to be like worshiped as a character. I'm looking to be respected based on my work and liked because of what I'm doing. Not like I'm not trying to become like a cult figure that you just obsess over, even when I do weird stuff like sell vaccines. Like, that's not what I'm in the business of. All right, I got a few more and then I got to run. Someone said socialism was Mnuchin and Kushner stealing $500 billion via fraud. I didn't know that happened, but it could be true. I don't know. I didn't read that, but did that happen? Or are you just saying that? It's not like the craziest thing to imagine. I can't verify that. So I'm just reading a comment. If I could do music full time, would you? I mean, I like the flexibility of what I do now, but there's pros and cons to both. I like doing live shows, but touring could be a little like not fun. Like, I like to stay at nice places. So it's like, if you're touring and on a bus and stuff, it's like, and then you don't get to spend any time and things. Like, I'm doing 2 shows in January. I'll just let you guys know I'll be performing in January. When politics annoys me, sometimes I wish I made enough in royalties in order to not have to do it all the time. But also, if I just did music, I would still want to say what I wanted to say. So it's a tricky question. I'm grateful for how my life is now, but I wouldn't be mad if I got a few hits and never had to like do a political video again, because then it would be like music. Right now with music, I could pretty much do it whenever I want. I'm not pressured to do it because it's not my full-time job. And then politics, it became my full-time job, but it's not a hard job. So I'm not really trying to like complain about it. Yeah, I would do music full time, but I wouldn't quit what I'm doing. I would just maybe do it from a different angle. And in general, I'm trying to think of that too, because it's like everything kind of changes real fast, and like real quickly, like algorithms can change. Where I'll give you an example real quick, then I really have to run. I wish I could stay longer, I really do, but I got an appointment to go to. But in general, like, I did a video about Thomas Massey and the meat industry and Bryce Mitchell talking about it. And I put my perspective in there as well. And I really wanted people to see this video because I feel like it's one of the more important videos I've done, because the meat industry is a bipartisan issue. Nobody cares about it because it's not like a sexy political debate that everyone's having. So, right, I put it on Facebook. I put it on YouTube. I put it on Twitter or X, and I put it on Instagram. On Instagram, it has a couple 100,000 views, right? So I did a 1 minute, 30-second version of it. Basically, it's got 250,000 views. And for those who don't know, the whole reason, in my view, that Bryce did that video is because he saw my video on Instagram. So that's the type of impact that I'm having. Bryce, I know this because Bryce liked the video. And as soon as he liked the video, he made a video and he goes, I just saw this video of Thomas Massey talking about Ukraine and the meat industry. He saw it on my page on Instagram and then made a response video to it. So anyway, it gets a lot on Instagram. I put that video on Facebook and it gets 8,000 views. And then I put that video on Twitter and it gets almost 200,000 views. And the video has like 5,000 views on YouTube. So it's like, Twitter doesn't really pay for videos, and I'm not trying to complain because it is what it is, but it's like, how do I have 1.7 million followers on Facebook and this video has 8,000 views and I have a couple 100,000 on Twitter and it gets 200,000 views? Like Facebook is like phasing out its own audience. I don't know what the hell they're doing or what they want me to post. Like, I post a meme, it gets a lot of views. So long story short, it's been interesting having to like change up all the stuff all the time, but it is a little like annoying where it's like as soon as you start getting momentum with one thing, they're like, okay, do a reel now, do this. It is what it is. But yeah, sometimes I wish I could, you know, just like do like music full time, but I'd have a lot of free time if I just did music. So I like both. I want to do both, but the more money you make, the more, the more FU money you have. So then you could do each at your own willing. Like the fact that I make money doing politics stuff is why I can move at my own pace in music and vice versa. It's like if you depend on one or the other and you have no other way of getting it, then you're kind of like trapped in a way. Someone said rap is not music. It's okay. I mean, that's certain people's opinions. I like other genres. I do really like hip hop, but I like country. I like jazz. I like rock music. I like instrumental music. I like all music except for super heavy metal. I apologize to metalheads. I'm just not into it. Like anything too heavy, it just doesn't sound good to me. But I like every other genre, so I don't I don't care that people feel that way. I would love to. I have to do something. Unfortunately, I really wish I could stay and do this. But if you like it, let me know in the comment section. Hopefully, you guys appreciated it. And someone said, "Hold on, what's your thoughts on space and the shape of this place God put us on?" I have to go, unfortunately. But if you like this, I'll do it again at some point. Tomorrow, I have Jim Brewer on the show, guys. He's hilarious. Check out his new stand-up. And I'm pumped to have him as a guest. Like, he's always really fun to talk to, and he's a super nice guy. So tomorrow, check that out. I'm excited for that guest, and I'll be back very soon. Anomaly loves K-pop. It's not one of my favorite genres, but if it's a good song, I'll listen to it. But no, I'm not really into like K-pop like that. That's got to be down on the list of things that I'm listening to, but it's a funny thought though. All right. Appreciate y'all. I'll be back soon.